evening, Klaatu Barada Nikto. I'm here to swallow your souls. Welcome to a basic guide of how to play Necromancer in Evil Dead the game. Releasing this video largely after most players have kind of moved on to other things, but I'm still very active here. I still love this game a whole lot, and I'm still trying new demons. I avoided Necro for a very long time. He just wasn't really my playstyle. Prestige 5 Delegos, and then went to Plague for a while. But after being stomped by Necro a lot as the meta keeps changing and changing and changing, I spent enough time and talked to some professional players to learn how to play him better. And in doing so, I am not by any means a great Necro player, but I feel competent enough that I can at least showcase how I play and maybe give you guys some advice on how to play him as well. If this is not to be like a direct guide. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. If you do something different, do something different. The reason I say it is while we're waiting for a game, Necro is a very versatile demon, and I think a lot of people sleep on that. When you look at Necro, you think that is a physical threat. I'm supposed to hit hard, do big damage, summon the Army of Darkness, bring out boss, and just kill everything, and if that don't work, then you have a damn good book game with your Flute and Bad Ash coming out, and that is very true. But what I think a lot of people sleep on, and what, if anything, I can teach you as far as finer details goes, is Skelephobia. Fear stacks really quickly against the armies of darkness here, and a lot of people, they generally run fear builds when Ball was taking over, but as Necro's seeing more common use, I think a lot of survivors are forgetting that fear is also very, very good on Necro. Depending on certain team comps, if they don't have a Lash or a Sash, I'll find myself taking points out of basics or elites and going straight into demon powers with just getting fear possessions. And remember, if you're not using possessions to kill people against a really solid team, every possession you're grabbing levels. You're grabbing experience. And you want to be a very select level for the book. There are times you're going to get stomped and rushed by really good players. And to be ready for book, you want to be roughly level 17 or 18. You want to have your basics, elites, and boss maxed out if you're going to be doing book damage. There are others that you want to have decent but not great. I think traps take priority, and demon powers, it really does depend on the team and the situation you're going in on. Depending on what match we get, that'll determine whether I go with a fear build or something else, which makes this a little difficult, but also why I like Necro. Generally, if I'm playing as Eligos or Plague, I know exactly the order I'm going to be putting my levels in almost every single time, with very little alterations. With Necro, I find myself having to adapt and play differently every single time. Against a, relatively new group of players, it's going to be as simple as place Flute, hard place, and, stomp. Against really good survivors, sometimes you're just screwed. Other times, you never know, you might get lucky. We're hopping into a game now, though, so we're going to see how this goes. I'm sorry if my breathing's really audible, or if my knuckles cracking is coming in. I am using the most sensitive mic I have, as it's all I have available. Now, I should mention, I am not a professional. I am not the best Necro player. I'm only Prestige 2. Like I said, I picked him up after Prestige 5ing Eligos here. And that was... Never mind, I guess we're going to have to wait for a different game. And maybe we'll get to play this time, who knows? Oh, Scream Queen. I know her. She's awesome. She's a super cool player. Injaggy, Little Dog, Little Miss Cupid. I don't recognize those names. But this should be a good game. I might get stomped. If they are remotely working together, I might definitely get stomped. I don't know how many of those names are solo queue. Hopefully they don't disconnect at the last second. Right now I'm playing at 6 a.m. I just stayed up all night, and I thought to myself, I've been putting off making a guide video forever. So let's show how I Necro, and I'm going to try to stay calm and explain my thought process throughout. This is not just meant to be a, here's a random battle. I want to try to go over how to play Necro, why I do the things I do, and again, if you're a professional player, more skilled than me, which is very possible, please correct me in the comments below. Let me know anything that you would do differently, because I'm always learning. Most of how I utilize Necro is what I've seen Twitch streamers that have P5 Necro and have a big win streak, how they do it, the advice they've given me, and I've converted to my own play style. And we'll see how this goes. Happy to get into a game, honestly. It's been a quiet night. Did some good Survivor games earlier with some buddies in the Evil Dead official Discord, which exists, by the way. The one run by Saber, it does exist. Running on Ethernet too, so this should be smooth. So, first, consider where we were at. We know where the pages and daggers are. And what I like to do is try to get the orbs I can. Pre-warning, if you're playing as Necro, your biggest suffering is going to be energy starvation. And I'm looking for chest. I'm also casually stopping here and there. Usually I like to go through this building if I'm at a fishing village. A lot of things you're going to want to know are universal. Things like, there we go. Things like where trap spawns are, you know, where you can put your traps down, where the chests are, all that good stuff. I always put my first point into demon powers. You want to be able to see. Now we're seeing Scream Queen. She usually plays a P5 Wash. We have a P5 Henry and a P1 Ed, so my traps are not going to be very effective. But right now it's just, I'm looking, I'm gaining energy, keeping my Infernal. I want to get to level 2 as quickly as I can. And the reason for that, oh, well, that was easy. We found them early, but that doesn't change a huge amount, since I always want to do for my second level, for me personally, I like to go for basics. Because even if they weren't near, and I got lucky, they were near, I want to be able to drop units to get levels. Because sometimes you will be rushed, and it will be brutal. So I'm going to go ahead and drop Flute here. It may seem a little weird, just dropping Flute right off the cuff, I'm aware. Just going to go ahead and do that. And we're going to just try to get some fun hits in. Because this is a pretty good situation. And, you know, notice how I dropped Flute knowing it was at risk of being grabbed up and snatched up. That's perfectly fine. I don't know how long it can hold this for. Quite a while, I'd imagine. But right now we're just made him waste a bunch of resources. And our Flute is just doing the damage for us up there. Good amount of damage, and there we go. Now, I'm doing basics and elites. Usually for the third level, I would consider putting it into traps. But right now, this is an unusual situation, which is a bit unfortunate, because I wanted to use it as a chance to kind of demonstrate how things can go differently. But that's the way the news goes on occasion. So we're going to just kind of play it by ear here. I should have waited on that. Yeah, that was very poor decision there, unfortunately. Like I said, I'm a little intimidated by this team. I don't know how it's going to go necessarily. But yeah, unfortunately, it seems that I spent a lot of time here. I want to go back to focusing on the Necro guide. I said this wasn't going to be a play-by-play. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with a pretty decent team, that can be hard to avoid. But even as I'm fighting them and trying to keep tabs on them, I'm looking for chest, I'm trying to raise things. I recommend not putting points into Infernal Energy, as your energy cap is very, very low as Necro, and you're going to get bulk of your energy simply from doing Demon Dashes. So right now, Henry's there, he used his ability, but they're spread out pretty far, and I want to get an idea of where everybody is. They got another map piece, they're taking a reasonable rate. There's Scream Queen. I might go ahead and drop some elites here. I don't intend on using elites against her, and you get a nice amount of energy dropping them. Gonna go for a Demon Dash. Demon Dashes are kind of how you get your meat and potatoes. We're just gonna go ahead and get that real quick. And we're going to go ahead and put more into Demon Powers. As the more possessions we can get, the better. Downing people is great. Downing people is cathartic, for sure. And you may have noticed throughout this, I'm going to be taking groups of basic skeletons and just dropping them around people. Just doing it. Demon dashing, dropping skeletons. And the reason for that is that skelephobia I was mentioning. That makes fear shoot up really quickly just by virtue of having the skeletons. Yep, you want to be utilizing fear as much as you can. Right now, I am just getting so many levels doing this. And then you're going to be switching between basics and elites. I use basics a lot, unless there's a hash, as they are fantastic for combo. If someone is just sprinting and dodging, if you do a sprint and a heavy, you'll almost always, like that, see? It's almost a guaranteed hit, no matter how good they are at dodging. But double tap one, then swing into a thrust. There's all kinds of crazy, really great combos you can do. Now, that admittedly was a choke. That wasn't my intent to rush straight to doing it, but, you know, sometimes you get scared, sometimes you make bad choices, it is what it is. But yeah, you want to get possession, basics, and elites. I like to swap between them pretty rapidly. And again, do not fret if you're not doing big damage. Big damage is nice. Big damage isn't the huge end game. Levels. You want to be ready when it comes time for objectives. You want basics, elites, and boss fully maxed out by the time you get to book. Traps, demon powers, and infernal are nice, but I'll say this. Unless it is a very, very strange circumstance, you should never, ever feel a huge, huge need to put infernal in. There are so many things that are way more important. We're going to back up here. I'm going to try something crazy. Didn't work. Didn't work. I had dreams. So we're just going to drop some enemies down, try to get some more fear going. And this is a remarkably passive play style. Whenever I'm casually hunting, I'm not doing anything too nuts. I feel bad. I hope Scream doesn't think that I'm, like, messing with her by doing this. I mean, I guess I am by virtue of, you know, messing. But there we go. I now have access to boss. They have all the map pieces. Pretty good timing. There we go. Get that good damage in. Right now, I'm just being out-damaged for the most part, but that's perfectly fine. I see that Henry's pretty scared. And now, as I'm dropping skeletons, notice that their fear is so high almost all the time. That is exactly what we want. We want to keep that fear high. We want to keep them stressed. We want to keep those micro-possessions going like crazy. It just works. It just works. Todd Howard, it just works. You know, if we can get some damage in, great. But that's not the priority. The priority is just get those levels, baby, and just keep it going. Now, I would be trapping this place out a bit more, but they've got an Ed. My usual playstyle, as I said, it's slow, it's meticulous. I do usually trap a lot more. I don't know why he's not using ability here. There we go. That's unfortunate. That would have been really cool if it worked, but it didn't. Okay, so we're going to put another into boss. I might drop boss kind of cheeky early on since they're split apart pretty far. I'm almost certain someone's going to start pages and daggers pretty soon. So I'm going to do a little trick. Flute is often overhyped drastically. It's good, but do not be afraid to just drop it. It gives you a few moments of buff, and even if it's only for a few little seconds, you know, it counts. It threw off their groove. I got some damage onto Sash there. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's free. 90 seconds is no big deal. And see, now Henry's gone. And I can get some sprint hits onto Sash here. And if I can down him, great. If I can't, who cares? That's what's so cool about it. See, he's going to go to get him up. Go there. Drop more units, and we have already got them in a pretty nasty spot here. They haven't started pages or daggers. They're trying to make sure that their buddy, you know, is... And they're probably going to get the raise. They're going to get the raise there. But from that simple interaction, all I did was drop Flute and a pile of basics. I barely did anything, and the Fear Possession handled everything else for me. Now, you'll notice the big weakness of Necro occurring right now as I play. I am spending more time away from them trying to grind up energy. And with a lot of bosses, you can just drop freely and get a good return. You don't have to worry too much about the finer details. Not the case with Necro. When you drop boss, it is very easy to get balance barred. I try not to use Necro too much. I am so sorry, Scream Queen. I'm gonna... If she watches this, I owe her an apology. But I'm not tunneling. I'm not tunneling deliberately. It's whoever I can get a hold of. And I want to make sure Sash goes through everything. Alright, we're getting good damage in, though, and that's the big thing. I'll tear your head off. You also get the benefit, if you play Necro, of getting to hear the adorable little skeleton noises. Now, notice how terrified everyone is. So... all I need to do is grab a little bit of energy. At this point, because it's so possession-oriented, I would not be afraid of putting a point into Infernal. But, you know, your Infernal pool's low, so you really got to consider what your goal is. They know I'm going to possess, and I'm still going to go for some cheeky hits because I'm a dangerous fella. I'm going to go for another quick dash. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Just gonna... Now, a lot of this stuff I can't really teach. Just, learning to aim and dealing with that. That's just something you'll get as you play. Right now, I think they're debating whether or not they want to start daggers or they want to keep looting. One little thing you can do is you can do a little proxy trap. You do that by right mouse. This is a PC. I'm so sorry. If you're playing on console, you're going to kind of have to... you're on your own. There's only so much I can do there. I can only account for PC. Now, remember, pressing flute, do it whenever the heck you want to when it's in the middle, but you want to really plan it carefully when it comes to this part. Since there's an ed, I held off on trapping so that I can do the trapping now. I don't have many places I can hide the flute here, but I need to set it somewhere clever. So what I'm going to do is, remembering that I have a, 50, 60 meter, I'm going to put a proxy trap right here. So if they run over and try to melee it, it'll cause them trouble. I'm going to set a regular trap here, a regular trap here. They're going to start hunting pretty soon, which is why I'm now going to bring boss out. I have 2 layers of traps protecting my flutist, so then you want to raise your army, press 2 to make that army resurrect, and then, of course, you're going to start attacking. Now, when you do your 2 abilities, so you can resurrect your skeletons, very important to remember that you can cancel it. You can go right into swinging, and the ability will still count. It is very good to know. We're going to go and probably get the down on Ash, or Wash. So many names. Now, we definitely want to stop that as it's a problem. And we're kind of dropping like a madman here. But, it's a free country. We can do what we want. Right now, we got a... Oh, that's good. That's a really good hit. So this is what I mean, though. I'm playing this guy like a fear demon. Well, he's distracted there. Joke's on them, it's a free reload time for me. Alright. He's going to get the revive, I think. They're definitely going to get up. This set's really good. Right now, it's just, dealing with Necro, whenever I have all those units out, it's very stressful. Right now, just getting him off point is also really good. And I don't think we're going to get his sphere up. He's handling it very well. Usually I would drop possession. But, why not? We're just kind of messing. Alright, and it's a little cheeky. It's mean-spirited, but at a point like this, the game is done. And that's how you take a win. And that's the end of it. That is how you can play Necro. I'm going to try to get another recording in the future of getting to the book phase. But hopefully watching this may have made things a little more clear, given you some ideas or inspiration. And that's the way that I personally like to play the character. If there was a lash or anything along those lines for more fear management, I might have changed my skill a little bit. They did have a sash, but I didn't see the Q ability used a whole lot. They stayed split up very, very far apart, which also worked in my favor. If you're watching this trying to find ways to counter Necromancer, my biggest suggestion is to stay close. I know the urge to split up looting and get more shimps and get more pink fuck and all of that good stuff stems largely from we should split apart, we should cover more ground. Don't risk it. Every good Necro knows to put in demon powers. They will find 1 or 2 of you when you're off on your own. Again, what won this match for me from the very first few minutes was Henry alone in the bottom of that attic, and all it took was pressing Q in the wide open 1 trap. That's all it takes to win a game sometimes and set the momentum. They say survivors control the flow of gameplay, and to a degree that's true when it comes to pages, daggers, and the dark ones. But at all points between and beforehand, you can take control, and as Demon, you want to seize that control. This is Crunch, signing out.